A lot of content creators don't want you to know that Call of Duty is the McDonald's of gaming. And no, I'm not calling anybody fat, and I'm not saying Call of Duty could feed a village in Africa. What I am saying, however, is what McDonald's did for food, Call of Duty does for gaming and gamers. So, what am I talking about here? So, McDonald's is a company that's been around for a while. It exists in pretty much every country in the world, and they serve fast food. How many times have you been to a McDonald's? You probably can't count that on one, two, or even 50 hands. How many times, however, have you been to a Michelin star restaurant? If you're younger and your parents aren't super rich, the answer is probably zero. If you're a bit of a foodie and you live near a big city, maybe one or two times, but most of us are not going out for Michelin meals every time we want something quick, easy, and fast. We are, however, going to McDonald's a lot more. Hopefully, not every time because that is actually really bad for you. And if you hit the subscribe button, I want you to live as long as possible. So make sure you avoid McDonald's and, eat a piece of celery every now and then. Anyways, though, getting back to it, what I mean is McDonald's offers you the same thing every time you go, no matter where you go. If you go to a McDonald's in Japan, you can get a burger that tastes pretty similar to a burger that you'll get in California. And this is one of the things that makes it so good. This is one of the things that people love. They can go there for something familiar. And that's what Call of Duty has become. People complain that there's no innovation. Things aren't changing. It's always zombies. The campaign's always pretty fast. Actually, no one complains about the campaign because most people don't even play it anymore. They always complain about the multiplayer. The movement's good. This is good, but there's no innovation there. And that is by design. And this is what content creators don't want you to know because if they admitted that, it would be a lot harder to make videos screaming into the sky and saying everybody hates this because the fact is nobody hates it. It's just that they're going to a McDonald's looking for a Michelin star meal. And if you do that, what would you call yourself? Yeah, that's why they don't want to admit to it, but it's true. And let's be honest, a lot of these creators, they're not dumb. They realize this. They're just milking it because it makes them a lot of money. It turns out complaining about games does a lot better than talking highly about games, which I'm about to do. So this video is probably going to get 10 views. Thank you to the 10 people who are holding the community together. I've got t-shirts. If you want to buy one, no, I don't care. I don't actually make any money off those t-shirts, but it'd be cool to see someone walking around in public with one of them. And I'm not going to do it because I'm not stupid. So yeah, Call of Duty is basically McDonald's for gamers. You go to it year in, year out. Every year it comes out around Halloween. It does this every year for the last 20 years. It's got a multiplayer component. It's got a campaign component most of the time. I think once they ditched the campaign, and that was a mistake. Actually, I don't think they ever have did. Have they ditched the campaign? I thought they might have done it once, but maybe they pulled back on that. Anyways, they do that, and zombies pretty typically comes out with Call of Duty. Every now and then there won't be zombies, and zombies players will be very upset. They'll stick to the old Call of Duty for another year, and then zombies comes out and everybody's happy again. But it seems like this is sort of the standard. Eventually, DLC comes out, which is usually like right after launch. Sometimes, I mean, they're pretty much going to start releasing DLC in beta at this point. But DLC comes out, you got Nicki Minaj, some anime girl or raccoon that you're fighting off. Every now and then you find a shark head. It's Call of Duty. What do you expect? But it's always the same thing, right? People complain about skins. People complain about this. They complain about that, and it's because going to a McDonald's, you always do complain, but you always end up getting the same thing, and you end up loving it, right? It's the same thing with Call of Duty. We complain about it, but in the end of the day, we get a really polished game. We get a decent experience, and we get to be nostalgic about it. There's people who've been playing this franchise. I've been playing this franchise actually for 20 years, right? Like some of us go way back with this game because we are, as much as we hate to admit it, old. And no, I don't mean Walker. I just mean, kids. We don't have the time to learn new gaming mechanics, which also means it's really nice to go back to something familiar. Every now and then they add something in, like a slide or a dodge or whatever. I know now they've got this whole movement thing where people can dive sideways. It doesn't really affect us because you've got skill-based matchmaking. So everybody that we're competing with doesn't really know that. Everybody, you put a slide in there, you feel pretty slick, you feel pretty cool, you feel like you're doing what the pros do, but not really, and you keep going, you keep playing. And it gives you that experience. Every time you get in, it's a close match. It feels like things are good. You might just eke out a win barely. You win by a point or two. You get that little bit of a rush, but you get it frequently enough that it's not like Fortnite or Warzone where you've got to go in and beat 100 people. And if you're really not that good at the game, that's almost impossible to do because you're fighting 99 people and there's Also, this one asshole who keeps throwing grenades badly and blowing themselves up. That would be you, by the way. So no, like it's just a great experience because if you're doing bad enough, they put you on a team and that team carries you and you win. If you're doing good enough, they put you on a team, you have to carry that team. Eventually, you fail to carry that team, and there's a few losers who are a little upset. You get one loss and you go back to winning. It feels good for everybody because it's something that we remember, something we're nostalgic for. It's controls that we've spent decades learning, and we can come back to it time and time again, expecting almost the same experience. The maps, the lanes, everything like that, they are fairly similar. They put in a few new graphics, maybe make something 3 levels instead of 2 levels, give you a few new spots to shoot from, or some lane that you're never going to use because, let's face it, it's completely irrelevant. And they call it a day, and we're happy with it. And the reason we're happy with it as gamers is because we don't have all the time in the world. We're not all content creators. Even some of us, like me, who are content creators, actually have kids, a family, other hobbies, and usually a full-time job. Right now, I'm unemployed, which is a-okay. I did that by choice. But if you could hit the subscribe button, that might make that choice feel a little bit better. Anyways, no, I think I've got to say subscribe 3 times, which I've said. Now I've said it 4 times. But there's something where if you keep saying it, people are more. Anyways, let's get back into the video. So what I'm talking about here is people like it. They come back. It feels the same. It's a good experience. It's a genuine experience. The guns are all the same. They might have different names, but we also know what the AK is. We know what the whatever. I can't even call them Jackal. Like there's just all sorts of guns, but we sort of all know where the guns stand. And honestly, if you use a sniper, you get a pretty good sniper experience, even if you pick the worst gun. Same with the SMG, same with the AR and everything in between. In fact, if you do pick the wrong weapons, skill-based matchmaking will correct it for you. If you decide that you want to martyrdom yourself every single time you play the game, eventually you're going to end up in a game where everybody's doing it and it's going to work out. You're going to get that you can't really. Well, maybe you can get a 2.0 KD because people are grouping up. I don't know, but you see what I'm saying? Skill-based matchmaking takes care of so many things that people don't even realize. When you suck, you end up with other people who suck, and you feel like you don't suck. And you feel like you're getting that same experience, and you feel like you're not aging. You feel like your bones aren't cracking. You feel like, well, I'm projecting a little bit, but you feel like you did when you were 18 and you were able to knife people in the back and run around and do all sorts of crazy 360 no scopes. You can't do that anymore, old man. And if you're wondering, yes, I am looking in a mirror right now. But what I'm trying to say is it's a good experience. When I go into Baldur's Gate 3, right, there were new mechanics to learn, new character names to memorize, a new story. It was exciting. It was fresh. But I had to come into it with a mind that was willing and open to that experience. I needed to come into it with time. I needed to come into it with enough time that I could sit down and play through the whole thing. And if you look at a game, let's say Fortnite, it is pretty old at this point. It came out in like 2017. That building mechanic, that's something that left a lot of people behind. It's revolutionary, it's new, it's fun. But if it leaves you behind, it's none of those things. In fact, it's something that you're not going to touch. Call of Duty, on the other hand, is the same old, same old. You never have to build, you never have to worry about anything. They added in sliding, but if you don't use it, skill-based matchmaking has you covered. It'll put you into a game with nobody who slides. You guys are just going up and down like you probably still teabagging each other and using all sorts of naughty words, which is I miss those lobbies. I don't like the words, but I miss those lobbies. I miss the vibe, if you will. If anyone could bring that vibe back, I would appreciate it. But the basics of this video isn't to smash on anybody or get a body count too high. No, what I'm trying to say is Call of Duty is a really good game, and people don't give it enough credit because fact of the matter is, if you start going into McDonald's and they start serving you Whoppers instead of Big Macs, or you order a hamburger and it comes out a little too rare or a little too well done, you're not going to be happy. You want a machine that comes in and pumps out the same content every single time. And that's what Call of Duty does. No matter when you pick it up or when you put it down, you're going to be able to come back in a couple of years, pick it up, and it'll feel almost exactly the same. And that's why I think Call of Duty is the McDonald's of gaming. Who else can compete? Until next time, peace.